The lock on my door clicked open at 6:42 p.m. That mattered, because I hadn't unlocked it. I stood in the hallway, groceries cutting into my fingers, staring at my own front door like it had betrayed me. Voices drifted out, polite, impressed, unfamiliar. A woman laughed softly and said, "The light in here is incredible." That was when I understood something was very wrong. No one was supposed to be inside my penthouse. Except my parents. And they never visited without a reason. The lock on my front door was already turned when I arrived. I noticed it immediately, not because I'm paranoid, but because the sound a lock makes when it opens without you touching it is unmistakable. A soft, mechanical click, followed by the wrong kind of silence. Then voices. Polite. Curious. Comfortable. I stood there longer than I should have, grocery bags digging into my palms, listening to strangers discuss the square footage of my living room. "That view must be incredible at night," a woman said. Someone else replied, "For this price, it should be." This price. I pushed the door open. The first thing I saw was the realtor's smile. Bright, professional, completely misplaced, like a stage light in a funeral home. Behind her stood a man and a woman dressed like they were browsing art, not standing inside someone else's life. The man's eyes were already measuring the walls. The woman held her phone chest high, snapping quiet photos like permission was implied. And between them, perfectly at ease, stood my parents. My mother folded her arms, chin raised, waiting for my reaction like a director waiting for applause. My father leaned against the wall, wearing the expression he saved for moments when he thought resistance had already expired. "Oh," the realtor said when she noticed me. "Perfect timing. We're just finishing a showing." I didn't answer her. I looked at my parents instead. My mother spoke loudly, too loudly, for the benefit of the strangers. "We're showing the penthouse," she said, crisp and proud. "Listed at $950. My father smiled wider. "For your sister," he added casually. "Her debt." The word debt landed like it explained everything. The buyers exchanged an awkward glance. That shared look strangers give when they realize they've wandered into something personal and unpaid. The realtor's smile twitched. "Just a flicker. Mr. and Mrs. Alden told me you were aware," she said carefully. "They said everything was handled." Handled. My parents loved that word. It erased consent. It erased conversation. I could have exploded. Could have told everyone to leave. Could have screamed that this was my home. But my parents didn't fear anger. They feared records. So I nodded once. "Of course," I said pleasantly. "Please continue." My mother's eyes narrowed. Calm always scared her. Calm meant I was already 10 steps ahead. The realtor relaxed and launched into her script. "This unit has floor-to-ceiling windows, private elevator access." I stepped aside and let strangers walk through my living room, admiring a life my parents were already selling. My father leaned close enough that only I could hear him. "Don't embarrass yourself," he murmured. "You don't have a choice." I turned my head slightly. "Ido." His smile faltered. "Your sister needs this. And you don't." He didn't say that part. He never had to. When the tour ended, I asked the realtor for her card. I didn't look at it, just slipped it into my pocket like evidence. Then I faced the buyers. "I'm sorry for the confusion," I said calmly. "This is my residence. There's a legal issue being addressed today." They didn't argue. People never do when legality enters the room. My father stepped forward. "She's being dramatic. The contract's printed." "Perfect," I said. "Then I'll meet you at the attorney's office." That was the moment he thought he'd won. He didn't realize I'd just made sure everything happened in front of witnesses. And records. The attorney's office was quieter than it had any right to be. Soft carpet. Neutral art. The kind of place designed to make people believe nothing bad could happen there, as long as everything was signed in blue ink. I arrived before my parents, which surprised the receptionist. "I'm here about a property contract," I said evenly. "Unit 41B. She smiled automatically. "Do you have an appointment?" "I believe my parents do," I replied. "But I'm the owner." That sentence worked like a key. Her smile froze, not dramatically, just enough to register risk. She disappeared behind a glass door without another word. A moment later, the attorney himself came out. Mid-50s. Silver hair. Crisp suit. The posture of a man who liked being the authority in the room. He opened his mouth with practiced confidence, and then stopped when he saw my face. Not angry. Not frantic. Just calm. "Ms. Alden," he said carefully. "Your parents indicated you'd agreed to the sale." "I didn't," I replied. "No heat. No explanation. Just fact." He gestured toward his office. "Why don't we talk inside?" I followed him in and took the chair across from his desk. I didn't set my purse down. I didn't relax. I placed my hands together and waited. "What would you like to discuss?" he asked. "One thing," I said. "Before anything else happens." He lifted his pen. "Go on." "A current property record," I said. "Printed today." He hesitated. It was subtle, but I caught it. The pause of a man deciding whether inconvenience outweighed authority. "That's not usually necessary," he said. "It is today," I replied, still polite. "If everything's clean, it'll take 30 seconds. Something in my tone landed. He nodded once and turned to his computer. Click. Type. Scroll. Then he stopped. Not theatrically. Not obviously. Just still. His pen slipped from his fingers and tapped the desk. A small sound. Loud in the quiet. He leaned closer to the screen, brows knitting like his eyes were refusing to cooperate. I didn't move. After a long second, he swallowed. "That's unusual," he murmured. "What is?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. He scrolled again, slower now. More careful. Then he spoke, barely above a whisper. "The property is locked." I let that sentence sit. "Locked how?" I asked. "No transfer allowed," he said. "There's a restriction note." I nodded once. "Read it." He hesitated again, then scrolled. His lips moved as he read silently. When he finally spoke, his voice had lost its lawyerly smoothness. "Owner alert," he read. "Good," he said, glancing at the desk. "Let's sign and finish this." My mother placed a stack of papers down like a prize. "The buyers are waiting," she added. "We're not doing back and forth." I looked at the attorney. "Print the record," I said quietly. "Now." My father's smile tightened. "Don't." The attorney didn't move. So I added calmly, "If you don't, I'll request it directly from the recorder's office and include your firm in the documentation." That decided it. The printer hummed to life. My mother's eyes narrowed. "What are you doing?" The page slid out. The attorney picked it up with hands that no longer looked steady. My father reached for it. I placed my palm flat on the paper first. Not aggressive. Not dramatic. Just present. He froze. "It's locked," the attorney said quietly. My mother laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. "Locked? What does that even mean?" "It means," the attorney replied, voice tight, "no transfer can be recorded until the restriction is cleared." "Clear it," my father snapped. The attorney didn't look at him. He looked at me. And that was the shift. The moment authority moved. My mother leaned forward, voice syrupy. "Honey, your sister is drowning. You're living alone in a penthouse. Do you hear how that sounds?" My father's voice went cold. "Family comes first." I nodded once. "Then answer a question," I said. They both paused. "What debt?" I asked. "Say the number." My mother blinked. "You know." "No," I said. "Say it." My father's nostrils flared. "It's not your business." "It became my business when you brought strangers into my hallway," I replied. "So say it." 200,000. My mother snapped. "Maybe more." I didn't flinch. "And your plan," I said, turning to my father, "was to sell my home today and hand her the money." "Yes," he said without hesitation. "Because you won't cooperate." There it was. Clean. Confessed. I turned back to the attorney. "I want copies." "Copies of what?" he asked. "Everything they brought," I said. "Listing agreement. Contract. Any power of attorney. Any notary stamp. All of it." "No," my father barked. I didn't look at him. "As the owner," I said calmly, "I'm requesting copies of documents presented as if they came from me." The attorney hesitated. then stood and walked to a cabinet. My mother's voice tightened. You can't give her that. If documents were presented in her name, he replied stiffly, she has the right to review them. He placed a file on the desk and opened it. The first page was a listing agreement. My name was typed neatly at the bottom. Beside it, a signature that looked like mine. And wasn't. Too smooth. Too careful. Like someone copying from memory. My father watched my face, waiting. I gave him nothing. I turned the page. The contract was fully filled out. Buyers. Price. Timeline. Then I saw it. A notary block. Stamp. Date. Commission number. I lifted my eyes. Did you verify this, notary? The attorney swallowed. Your parents said you signed. I didn't, I said. So I'll ask again. He didn't meet my father's eyes. No, he admitted. I did not verify it. My mother bristled. Because you didn't need to. Read the commission number, I said. The attorney leaned in and read it softly. And then his phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and went pale. He answered immediately. Yes. Pause. Understood. He hung up slowly. That was the recorder's office, he said. My mother laughed again, too fast. And they said the lock wasn't just a restriction, he whispered. My father went completely still. It was triggered by suspected fraudulent instrument submission. Silence swallowed the room. Then the attorney added, almost gently, they asked if Richard Alden is in my office. Because they're sending someone over. No one spoke for several seconds after the attorney said someone was on the way. Not because we were stunned. Because everyone was calculating. My father was the first to move. His chair scraped back sharply as he stood. This is absurd, he snapped. We're leaving. The attorney rose just as fast. Richard. Don't, my father cut in. Don't use my name like we're friends. My mother grabbed her purse in one sharp motion. The sweetness was gone now, replaced by urgency. This is harassment, she said. We're done here. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't block the door. I looked at the attorney and said one sentence. Quiet, precise, unavoidable. If they leave, I said, you'll be the last verified location of the forged documents and the recipient of the recorder's call. That stopped him. Not because I threatened him. Because I told him where the liability would land. His jaw tightened. He pressed a button on his desk phone. Reception, he said, suddenly very controlled. Do not let anyone out of this suite. My mother's eyes went wide. Excuse me. And call building security, he added. My father laughed once. Short. Ugly. You can't hold us hostage. No, the attorney said. I'm preserving a situation involving suspected fraud. The word fraud landed differently on each of them. My father got angry. My mother got scared. 2 minutes later, a uniformed security guard appeared at the door. Broad shoulders. Neutral expression. He didn't care who anyone was. Then came the knock. Not loud. Not dramatic. Official. The attorney opened the door himself. A man stepped inside wearing a plain suit, badge clipped to his belt, tablet in hand. He didn't scan the room for emotion. He scanned it for positions. Recorder's Office Fraud Prevention, he said calmly. I'm Daniel Delgado. My father scoffed. We didn't do anything. Delgado didn't answer him. He looked at the attorney. You received a call from our security desk? Yes, the attorney said. They mentioned a hold. Delgado nodded once, then turned to my father. Richard Alden? My father lifted his chin. Yes. Sir, Delgado said evenly. I need you to remain seated. Or what? My father challenged. Delgado didn't rise to it. He simply scrolled his tablet. An instrument was submitted today regarding Unit 41B, he said. The submission triggered an owner alert due to a flagged signature pattern and a notary commission issue. My mother's face drained of color. My father went very still. Whose idea was it to submit the instrument? Delgado asked. It was legal, my father snapped. That wasn't my question. The attorney cleared his throat. I was presented documents this morning. Delgado raised a hand gently. I'll come back to you. Then he looked at my father again. Sir, he said, who directed the submission? My father's mouth opened, closed. My mother jumped in, voice too fast. We're family. It was just paperwork. Our daughter is dramatic. Delgado finally looked at her. Ma'am, he said calmly, family fraud is the most common kind we see. The room felt heavier after that. Delgado scrolled again. The instrument included a notarized authority document. That stamp is real, my father snapped. If it is, Delgado replied, the notary can confirm it. My mother's hands trembled around her purse strap. Delgado turned to me. Ms. Alden, he asked, are you authorizing any sale of your property today? No, I said. And were buyers present at the property? Yes, I said. In my hallway. His jaw tightened slightly. Do you have the realtor's name? I placed the card on the desk. He glanced at it, then back at my parents. This now involves third parties, he said, which escalates the matter. My father leaned forward. You're acting like we're criminals. I'm not accusing, Delgado replied. I'm documenting. He turned back to the attorney. Do you have the originals? The file was slid forward. Delgado didn't touch it yet. He looked at my father again. I'll need your identification. My father hesitated, then slapped his ID on the desk. Delgado photographed it, handed it back, and asked a question that made my chest tighten. Has your other daughter's name been mentioned in connection with this filing? The silence that followed was answer enough. Yes, I said quietly. They said the sale was to pay her debt. Delgado nodded and typed. Then his tablet chimed. Once. He looked down, and his expression changed, not to panic, but to recognition. Sir, he said to my father, we just received a second alert. My blood went cold. A transfer attempt, Delgado continued, on a different property. My mother gasped. That's impossible. Delgado's eyes stayed on my father. It's in your granddaughter's name. The room tilted. For a split second, my mind rejected it. My daughter is 6. Then memory snapped into place. The cabin. My grandfather. The trustee who insisted on safeguards. A custodial deed. Delgado held up his tablet slightly. Attempted submission, he read. Custodial property. Restricted. My mother clutched her chest. Richard. My father didn't look confused. He looked angry. Delgado turned to me. Access to that information usually comes from documents or mail. Someone inside your circle. The attorney swallowed. Counselor, Delgado said. Do you have any files involving the minor? No, he said too quickly. Check. A drawer opened. A thin folder emerged. This was dropped off last week, the attorney admitted. For review. By whom? Delgado asked. He hesitated. Your wife. My mother flinched. I didn't know what it was. Delgado opened the folder. Stopped. Is this your daughter's full legal name? He asked me. Yes, I said. Same format. Same notary block. Same expired commission number. Delgado exhaled slowly. This is a pattern. My mother started crying quietly. My father hissed at me. You think you're smart? I think you walked into fraud, I said calmly. Delgado raised his phone. This is an active case involving attempted transfers using an expired notary commission, he said. Minor involved. Request law enforcement response. When he hung up, he looked at my father. You didn't start a family argument, he said. You triggered an investigation. Sirens didn't arrive dramatically. They arrived the way consequences always do. Quiet. Efficient. Permanent. And for the first time, I understood what my grandfather had really left me. Not property. Protection. Law enforcement didn't rush in. They arrived the way real consequences always do. Quietly, efficiently, with clipped voices and body cameras already recording. 2 officers stepped into the suite. Calm. Observant. The kind of calm that makes guilty people restless. Good afternoon, one said, scanning the room. Who requested the response? Delgado lifted a hand. Recorder's Office Fraud Prevention. Active case. That changed the air instantly. My father straightened, jaw tight. My mother folded in on herself, clutching her purse like it might anchor her. They separated us naturally. Not dramatically, just procedure. One officer asked me to step aside. "Ms. Alden," he said gently, "we'll need your statement." I nodded. My hands were steady. That surprised me. Across the room, another officer spoke to my parents. I didn't hear the words, but I recognized the tone. Neutral, professional, unimpressed. Delgado handed over copies of the lock notices and the flag submissions. "These instruments were submitted today," he said. "Same expired notary commission. Same false claim of owner unavailability. 2 properties." The officer nodded. "And the minor?" Delgado gestured toward the folder. "Custodial property. Attempted submission last week." The officer exhaled slowly. "All right." He turned to my father. "Sir, I need to ask you some questions." My father crossed his arms. "This is being blown out of proportion." The officer didn't argue. He didn't react. "Why did you claim the property owner was unreachable?" he asked. My father opened his mouth. Closed it. My mother jumped in, voice shaking. "We were trying to help our other daughter." "Help usually involves consent," the officer replied. "Did you have it?" Silence. The officer glanced down at his notes. "Did you witness your daughter sign these documents?" "No," my father snapped. "But she agreed." "Verbally?" the officer asked. "She said she would." "When?" the officer pressed. My father's jaw flexed. The officer didn't wait for the answer. He turned the page. "Why did you use an expired notary commission?" My mother gasped softly. "That stamp is real," my father said again, louder this time. "It was handled." The officer nodded once. "We'll confirm." He looked at Delgado. "You contacted the notary?" "Yes," Delgado said. "He denied notarizing anything today." The officer raised an eyebrow slightly. "Let's hear it directly." He pulled out his phone. My mother whispered, "Please don't." He dialed anyway. Speaker on. The phone rang twice. "Hello?" A wary male voice answered. "This is Officer Ramirez," the officer said calmly. "I'm calling regarding a notary commission under your name. Are you aware of any documents notarized today for Natalie Alden or her minor child?" "No," the man said immediately. "Absolutely not." "And your commission status?" "It expired last year," the notary replied. "I haven't practiced since." The room felt like it was shrinking. "Has anyone used your stamp without permission?" the officer asked. A pause. Then, I noticed it missing months ago." "That did it." The officer ended the call and looked up. "Forgery," he said simply. My mother made a sound like air leaving a punctured tire. My father slammed his hand on the desk. "This is insane." "No," the officer replied. "This is documented." He turned to me. "Ms. Alden, did you authorize anyone to act on your behalf?" "No." "Did you authorize anyone to act on behalf of your child?" "No." He nodded. "Thank you." Then he turned back to my parents. "Mr. and Mrs. Alden," he said evenly, "you are being investigated for attempted property fraud and forgery." My mother broke then. Quiet sobs, shoulders shaking. My father didn't. He leaned forward, eyes sharp, calculating. "You think this is over?" he hissed at me. "You think paperwork wins?" I met his gaze. It already did. The officer stepped between us. Not aggressively, just enough. "Sir," he said, "you need to come with us." My father laughed once hollow. "For what?" "Asking my daughter to help her sister." "For submitting forged instruments," the officer replied, "and attempting to transfer a minor's custodial property." That word, minor, hit him harder than fraud ever had. He stood slowly, face flushed. "You're choosing strangers over family," he said to me. I shook my head once. "You chose signatures over consent." They escorted him toward the door. My mother looked back at me, eyes red, voice breaking. "We raised you." "Yes," I said softly. "And you taught me to read." The door closed behind them. The room exhaled. Delgado gathered his tablet. "We'll maintain the locks," he said to me, "and prioritize the custodial property." "Thank you," I said. The officer handed me a card. "If they contact you," he said, "call us." "They will," I replied. He nodded like he believed me. When everyone finally left, I sat alone in the attorney's office. The file sat on the desk. Evidence. Cold. Indifferent. For the first time that day, my hands trembled, not from fear, but from release. Because control wasn't slipping anymore. It was gone. They didn't let my father say goodbye. There was no dramatic last speech, no curse shouted down the hallway. Just the soft clink of handcuffs, and the sound of footsteps moving away from the life he believed he controlled. My mother followed, quieter now, smaller. She didn't look back again. When the door closed, the room felt too big. The attorney sat heavily in his chair, hands folded like he didn't trust them anymore. "I'll cooperate fully," he said. "My firm will preserve everything." Delgado nodded. "You'll be contacted." Then he turned to me. "I recommend 3 things," he said. "Change your building access, secure your mail, and freeze any accounts or records connected to your parents." "I will," I said. He paused. "Your daughter's property is protected. We placed an immediate custodial lock." Relief moved through me slowly, like warmth returning to a numb limb. "Thank you," I said. He gave a brief nod and left. The officers finished their paperwork. One of them glanced at me before going. "You handled that well." I didn't correct him. I didn't tell him handling it had taken years. The penthouse felt different that night. Not violated. Exposed. I walked through it slowly, seeing it the way strangers had that afternoon. Walls light value. I changed the locks. I updated the security codes. I emailed the building manager and revoked every access my parents had ever been given. Then I sat at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. I froze my credit. I flagged my mail. I called the trustee. He didn't sound surprised. "I warned you," he said gently. "I know," I replied. "I hear it now." My sister called 2 days later. I let it ring. Then I answered. "You destroyed them," she said without greeting. "I stopped them," I replied. "You could have helped me. You could have asked." Silence. Then quietly, "They said you didn't care." I closed my eyes. "They said a lot of things." She hung up. That was the last time we spoke. Weeks passed. The investigation moved forward the way investigations do. Slow, methodical, unstoppable. Charges were filed. Lawyers spoke. Excuses were documented and ignored. I didn't attend every hearing. I didn't need to, because the story no longer belonged to any of us. It belonged to the record. One afternoon, my daughter sat beside me on the couch, coloring. "Why don't we see Grandpa anymore?" she asked. I chose my words carefully. "Because sometimes," I said, "people forget that loving someone doesn't mean owning them." She nodded like that made sense. Children understand boundaries better than adults who fear losing control. The penthouse never sold. The cabin stayed exactly where it was. Protected. Quiet. Mine to pass on without conditions. Sometimes I think about that lock. The one that appeared before I knew I needed it. A system that didn't care who my parents were. A record that didn't bend. That was the real inheritance. Not property. Not money. Proof. Because blood can lie. But the record doesn't.